Hello, we are now starting part two of the portfolio, and this is actually about SCORM integration in course delivery. I do currently have access to Blackboard Learn, which is a learning management system. And today I wanted to show I wanted to show you all how to integrate SCORM content into a learning management system, selected learning management system, and also some of my techniques that I use in a real-time course. I just completed a course this summer, uh, and it's actually a health education and health science course, and it was set up in a hybrid. Um, it was set up in a hybrid format, meaning that at some point, because the courses are so short, they're about maybe 8 weeks. So it was set up where it was online, and then we met at some point during the summer at a neighboring community center. That's what the course was mainly about. It was a community class. So they pretty much had a lot of scenarios, a lot of activities leading up to that particular meeting, which was then integrated into a huge capstone. So it was a very fun class. It was very fun how pretty much how to flip that course. It's typically a 15-week course, and it's face to face. But I piloted so that it could be hybrid and, of course, in a shorter structure. Okay, so this is my Blackboard. Um, this is my Blackboard user interface here. And I'm going to scroll down to the health sciences course. It's called HEED 420, and it's a summer 2018 course. So overall, this is pretty much the course. We have an announcements page, and this is just something where some of the B2B um, setups do use learning management systems. I haven't really heard of them too much using Blackboard, but I'm quite sure they do. Desire to Learn is another system that I'm familiar with, and Moodle. I've definitely seen Moodle in B2B. But these are just pretty much announcements that would come out each week for the student. This is actually about the field trip that we went on. Okay. And as you can see, just like the prior presentation, things are hyperlinked within this particular learning management system. So for example, we did go to visit Center for Urban Families. Alrighty. Like I said, it's a short class, so not too many uh, uh, announcements, just each week. These are actually hyperlinks to the content. So let's say if I say, I want you all to complete chapter 10 assessment for this week. These the words that are underlined will directly go to that particular content, and it's just easier access. Wait till this response. It's just easier access for the end user to get to the content a little bit quicker. So this is chapter 10, and they're able to just go ahead and begin their assessment. Okay. And I do also construct assessment material, and I can also integrate already predetermined settings for assessment material from publisher content. So I have done both. Same with here. If I want to go to a certain area, as you notice on the left, okay, you have different parts um, different parts of the class. So we have about this course, we have faculty information. Um, all right, and that's me and all of my information. And I've added also a personal link to my LinkedIn page. A lot of students, they always, go in LinkedIn, and it kind of pushes them to go in LinkedIn and start engaging with others in the industry. So I always put my LinkedIn information, my syllabi, and my textbook. And this is also set up where you can integrate the textbook using the ISBN number. And this is actually my course syllabus right here, which is in a Word version. I've learned to keep both versions because we always change it. This course is offered every semester. I don't even remember a semester where it hasn't been offered. So this is just all of my, all of my information, goal statement, course objectives, learning outcomes, or it's just that pretty much just that alignment of those objectives, and pretty much, letting them know what they would be able to do. We use Blackboard Collaborate, Integrity, in which I'm using now, and of course the Blackboard Learning Management. Okay, the grading is here, the discussion forums, chapter assessments. And we also have a special accommodation statement as well. The learning management system is also compatible. It's ADA compatible. So all the pictures that I can integrate, I can also, if a person is using a special device, if they can't, if they're visually impaired, the images will speak to them. So I'm very familiar at doing that as well. And I've also hyperlinked some of the things within my syllabus. Okay, and these are just university objectives. All right. So, any learner resources, I always include that. And this would also be the same if I was teaching, B2B, any resources that could help them. Videos, I normally keep a compilation of different videos. I do teach across the board. I teach within an allied health program, which incorporates health information management. We are a KM accredited program. And I also teach in the Health Education and Sciences program, which is accredited by CHES. So I typically teach, across the board with you know, many of the courses that are offered. I've taught health information management affiliation, and I also I have a big component in where I have a lot of background with research. So I've also taught health research and statistics. So I I've been told that I teach the dreadful course, but the students do learn about the calculations. And the HRM program, back with that, that particularly prepares the student to get their RHIA, RHIT, or any of the other HEMA specialties. The Health Education and Sciences program um, prepares the student for other allied health careers. So we've had students that have matriculated that have become um, occupational therapists, respiratory therapists, physician assistants, and also health educators. So I'm very well versed in the area of medical technology and or allied health careers. So these are just things that I have penned within the class um, regarding, software, mobile apps, um, the content from Blackboard can actually be infused over to mobile applications. Technology help, netiquette expectations, that's always fun to look at. Services and resources have actually been penned for students to sort of tackle if they need. And then, of course, accessibility and privacy information. And again, I am trained to provide, of course, accessibility format for students needing it. Um, we have NBC Learn, Play Posit, and all of these are integrated, and all of them are ADA compliant. Okay, so all of these tools I am very much familiar with. Okay, and I've even kind of penned, tips for discussing disability challenges with the professor. So it's a very, very loaded. I like learning management systems. It's a very, very loaded system. Okay. All right. So down to discussions, I wanted to sort of give you a little bit of examples of how I'm able to integrate a lot of the tools within a typical learning management system for training purposes, of course, or if a course runs prior to the trainer coming in with the actual end user. So these are just weekly discussions that I have developed for students, and I like a lot of interactive things. For example, um, the topic is community and public health yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So it's sort of this can sort of be zoned in here for the student to look at. This is a timeline in more of a static version of a timeline, but put it down a little bit more. Um, but if I wanted to, it says after exploring the 1700s highlighted timeline below, then select the interactive link. So I like to include a lot of interactive material into my work. So, for example, this particular timeline here was hyperlinked within the course, and it's loading up as we speak. And it gives the student the opportunity to explore an interactive timeline, the evolving role of public health. They can take this back as sort of a cursor if they wanted to know about a certain period. In order to apply to their work, they can go back and look at that particular period as it pertains to public health. And I thought it was a really fun timeline for students to get into. Vocaro, we also have, and this is somewhat on the cusp of ADA. Vocaro is basically a voice recognition, recognition and uh, simulation software, and it's a tool that's online. It's a free online tool, and I provide it for my students because I see that we kind of educate a certain population of students who sometimes might have, some of them are first and second generation students, some that don't really have a lot of English speaking skill sets here in the U.S., or they might have challenges with writing. They're all very bright, but they might have some challenges with writing. So I give them the option on certain assignments if I know that it's going to be they're of course responsible for the writing, but I do give them an opportunity at times to additionally provide a, a not voice recognition, but voice simulation for their answers. So, for example, um, if they were going to write material, in order to help them write that material, I find that if they actually state it or read it out, they can understand it a little bit more. They can understand the content and they can catch the errors. So Vocaro is actually here. It's hyperlink here, and it's I typically integrate it with all of the discussions to give them that option. But you can click here to record your own voice. Okay, and then what happens is it provides a link. They take the link. Okay, I have to allow it. It provides a link. They take a link and they pretty much put it in the discussion forum as their answer along with their writing. And I find that this is such a great help. Sometimes the more you speak it, you can remember it. It can pretty much stick. So you can use it for all types of educational scenarios. Okay, and once you're finished recording, it provides a link for you to embed. So when they actually, post, reply to their discussion, they can provide that particular link in which I will actually go ahead and, and pick it up and grade it along with their writing. Okay, so it's just another cool way. Let me see if it works here. Another cool way. Okay, so that's my recording there of what I actually just did. So I thought it was a fun way. That's a fun little integrative tool for all types of training scenarios. So this is another one where I have embedded YouTube. We also have access to NBC Learn. So NBC Learn is a lot of content about trends and things that are real time that are happening in real time. If I was teaching more of a if it was health, something like an outbreak, I would definitely integrate it here. But just to kind of play this right here, this is a YouTube video that has been integrated in. And so the students have direct access rather than hitting the link and sort of having the wrong browser and things of that sort. It's a good way for them to do that. Articles, I can also direct them straight to articles. Okay, so a lot of more static things I normally hyperlink. Okay. And I provide, the template for their answers. Same thing with Women, Infant, and Children's Program. This is an interesting video that was integrated as well. Okay. So this sort of comes alive and gets them a little bit more um, a little bit more interactive. A lot of times if you come in a learning management system or course, if you will, and you just see a lot of writing, I find that a lot of end users, they are very their attention span, you lose them. So a lot of times, too much is too much and too little is too little. So I find if you sort of switch it up a little bit, and that grabs their attention. So if they say, oh, a video was here, oh, a hyperlink is here, um, they can definitely do more with that. Same here, another timeline. This is actually in a book view. And, this is just an example of how I can, hyperlink a book inside of the content and have them read from the actual. Now, this is sort of a policy. This is the Heckler Force on Black and Minority Health. And this is sort of a whole policy that they can read and go through and vet it. Now, if I gave them this, face to face and sort of say, hey, read this book, they would probably look at me and say, oh my goodness. But if it's in this particular view, they have the option of sort of going through and, reading different things or thumbing through the pages. And just the fact that they can, use their mouse and sort of go through and do something interactive while they're reading, uh, it's sort of a sure way for them to get the information that they need. They'll remember what page they went to, where they saw the particular answer. And so it's amazing how this type of content can really deeply engage the learner. Okay. Last but not least, we had some of these chapters are pretty much together. This is about special populations and public health contributing to public good. So I've also used the use of TED Talks. TED Talks is you know an example of current information. Um, and then, of course, the activity was actually, however, completing a play posit activity. And this is another tool that it's very interactive, where the student can pretty much go to that actual video and comment while the video is going on. So I wanted to kind of show you an example of that. Oops. Okay. So here, this is where the student would, of course, go in, and of course, he just stated how many residents were exposed to a high level of lead in water. So they would go in and answer the question and submit it and you know go back to the video. Now this is the view that the student would get, but as the instructor, I would then go in and tabulate the answers, and then of course go back into the form. And say if everybody, I think I integrated about 4 questions in this particular activity, and say if everyone got number 3 wrong, then I would go ahead and from there go ahead and integrate more conversation, more discussion or dialogue, or integrate another activity that would gain to their understanding. So this is just an example of different things that I have pretty much done within a learning management system. Course materials and assessments, of course, are all downloaded within this particular portion right here. Now, the back to the so the lecture material is just put in a folder. It could be a PowerPoint presentation, chapter assessments, And the play posit, I can also integrate that within this particular section here. But I wanted to kind of go through, while we were here, I wanted to go back to the storyboard, and I wanted to go ahead and zip this particular file. So I'm going to kind of close it out, go to File, and then when I hit Publish, instead of publishing it now to the website, I'm going to publish it to an LMS. Okay, so as you can see, if I hit LMS, then down at the output options, I have SCORM 1.2. And SCORM is actually an interoperable way of integrating static information into a compatible learning management system. The biggest mistake with SCORM that people make is they try to, it kind of goes a little interesting when you try to build the content from the ground up. I have before, but I do prefer, as far as efficiency, I do prefer a software that can be easily integratable with a learning management system. So the example of that would be Articulate Storyline. So I would have to probably have a storyboarding software in order to integrate certain things. Now, what I failed to mention, this particular uh, storyboarding software also has the capacity to integrate questions. Now, you make the questions up, but they put them in such a way, in such a format where they can be easily integrated into a learning management system. So for purposes of presentation, what I've done is actually use the same storyboard that I developed in part one of this portfolio. So this is SCORM 1.2, and the format, as you can see, is HTML5. So if I hit publish, okay, as you can see, it, similarly publishes just like I would if I would, put it online as shown earlier. Okay. And all it's doing is it's writing the content into a more a more static view. So if I hit zip, Blackboard actually only takes the storyboard in a zip. Now I previously saved it, so I'm going to go ahead and save it again, okay, just for presentation purposes. Um, so as you can see, it puts it, I put it right on my desktop, by the way. Okay. Once I close it, okay, go ahead and close this one. Now with this learning management system, Blackboard, I'm just going to kind of show you how I would put in the SCORM content. I go down to the content package SCORM, as you can see, and it has to be enabled from the particular company or institution. Okay, if you, if you were working with SCORM content. All right, so I'm going to browse my computer, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to go ahead and take my zip 3M storyboard, open it, and then as you see it here, it's in a zip file, and I'm going to submit. Okay, so as you can see, it downloaded, and description, I can always place a description here. of the actual, okay, of the content. You know, directions you can put here. You can put learning objectives. You can put learning outcomes, okay, or student objectives, learning, you know, learning outcomes. Okay, here you can okay. So you can place anything here because this is the portion that the student or the end user is going to be able to say. Make SCORM available, yes, of course. Allow unlimited time. So that just means that the student or the end user would have limited times to actually play with this particular activity. Um, Display after, display until. Uh, this is just, you know, pretty much just a select date. If you want them to have access just for a certain period of time, you can. And then of course you can also track the number of views, and that is pretty much everything that I do. Now, if you don't want grading in it, you don't have to have grading. If you just want you know, you just want them to complete it, you can. SCORM satisfaction, you can. So you can actually grade this particular activity, and it'll show up on your Blackboard grading. But for now, we just want to, you know, make sure that they've completed it. Okay, and it says when SCORM is completed, display score in grade center. So you can also just, if you just want them to simply complete it, you can, it'll show up as sort of a check mark in your Blackboard or learning management system. So it all depends on how you would like to disseminate the content. Right? And this is a bigger package, so it takes a little bit longer to sort of add. Okay, so as you can see, now you have content added. So when you go down to the Blackboard, okay, when you go down here, you'll see 3M storyboard. So when you hit the actual link to the storyboard, you will see what we created in part one. Okay, and same as we had it on, you know, on the web. The student can go through, hit hyperlinks, hyperlink the material, uh, same thing. They can go through, you know, same access, you know, type in the numbers, things of that sort. Look on here, and I really think it's a better. It's better. It plays a little bit nicer when it's integrated into a learning management system than on the web, because sometimes the slides sort of go a little quicker than you know I would have attended. So it's something that you play with a little bit, but it definitely gives the learner a better experience to sort of, you know, I can imagine maybe having a WebEx presentation and having this enabled so the student can or the learner can go through themselves and play with the activity, and then that way they would be more prepared for the next phase of training. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is actually this actually ends this part of the part two of my portfolio. I again, I am very well vested in the health information management industry. You know, I'm considered a subject matter expert for health research and statistics. That is my area. But I know a lot of the other part of my role is placing HIM students in a lot of the industries and working along with them for various uh, you know, various EHRs and solutions within the industry on a baccalaureate level. So I I thoroughly enjoy that. Um, and I'm very versatile in where I work with students, and I have worked B2B as well. So I enjoy training. Um, and this ends part two of my portfolio. I'm going to send other items that I've done as well in YouTube. So thank you so much for the opportunity.